All right, get ready to take a pretty epic journey. We're about to explore one of the most physically diverse places on the entire planet, the Indian subcontinent. We're talking about the highest peaks in the world, ancient rocky plateaus, and some of the most fertile plains you can imagine. This landscape has a huge story to tell, so let's dive right in. So when you look at a map like this, the first thing that hits you is just the scale of it. It's so huge, and it looks so distinct that you have to ask the question, is this just a country we're looking at, or is it something more? Well, the answer is in that word, subcontinent, and we're about to find out exactly why it fits so perfectly. So here's our game plan. First, we'll figure out what a subcontinent actually is. Then, we'll start our journey way up north with the Himalayas, travel down through the fertile heartland, explore the ancient southern part of the peninsula, and finally, we'll check out the islands and the rivers that are the real lifelines of this whole region. Okay, so what is it that makes this place a subcontinent? It really all comes down to geography, acting as this great divider, basically creating a world within a world. Here's the basic idea. The Indian subcontinent is this gigantic piece of land that's pretty much walled off from the rest of Asia by these massive mountain ranges. And this isn't just about India, right? It's a reality that it shares with its neighbors, and it creates this totally unique zone, geographically and climatically. And even inside this subcontinent, India itself is just incredibly diverse. This map shows it perfectly. It's broken up into 6 major natural regions. Just look at the colors. You've got everything from huge deserts to lush forests. So our journey is going to start way up at the very top in the north. So, following our map, we're starting with the most dramatic feature of all, the Himalayas. And you gotta understand, these aren't just mountains. They're basically the subcontinent's climate control system and its main water source, all rolled into one.
Yeah, this quote just nails it. They are an incredible natural boundary. This massive wall of rock and ice is, without a doubt, the single most important thing shaping all of life to the south of it.
Now, what's really fascinating is that the Himalayas aren't just one single line of mountains. They're actually 3 different ranges, all running parallel to each other. Way up top, you have the Himadri, the big guys, permanently covered in snow. Below that, there's the Himachal, still really high, but a bit lower. And then finally, you get the Shivalik, which are the foothills, where heavy rains are constantly washing soil down the slopes. And this comparison just shows you the difference so clearly. That picture on the left of the Himadri, that's just raw, untamed power, all rock and ice. But then you look to the right at the Himachal, and while it's still massive, it's greener. You see more forests. It's a little more inviting. It's just an amazing amount of contrast packed into one single mountain system.
So the big question is, what do these mountains actually do? Well, they have 3 absolutely crucial jobs. First, they act like a giant shield, blocking all those freezing cold winds coming down from the north. Without them, a lot of India would be much, much colder. Second, they trap the rain clouds coming in from the ocean, forcing them up, which makes them drop all their water. That's the monsoon. And third, all their melting snow and ice is what feeds the great rivers of the north.
And that last point, the rivers, is the perfect way for us to head south. All of that water and all of that ground-up rock coming down from the Himalayas is what created our next great region, the super fertile northern plains. This entire landscape is literally a gift from the mountains. The secret ingredient to all this fertility is something called alluvium. Basically, as the rivers come down from the mountains and hit the flat land, they slow down and just drop all the stuff they were carrying. Fine sand, silt, mud, you name it. And here's why that is so important. Over thousands and thousands of years, this process has built up this incredibly deep, rich layer of soil. And that amazing fertility is why the northern plains became the agricultural heartland of the subcontinent and one of the most crowded places on the entire planet. So let's keep moving south. We're leaving those soft, young plains behind, and we are entering a completely different kind of world. A much older, rockier landscape made of plateaus, hills, and coastal strips. And here you can see it. This is the Southern Plateau, which is also known as the Deccan Plateau. It's pretty much a giant, elevated table made of ancient hard rock. The contrast with those flat, muddy plains we just came from could not be bigger. Now, this plateau isn't just floating there, of course. It's surrounded by mountain ranges. To the north, you've got the Vindhya and Satpura ranges. Then, running down each side like 2 long arms, you have the Western and Eastern Ghats. And then squeezed in between those mountains and the sea, you get these narrow but really important coastal plains.
And we can't forget about India's islands. What's wild is that they have two completely different origin stories. Over in the Arabian Sea, you have the Lakshadweep Islands, which are basically coral atolls. They were built over thousands of years by tiny sea creatures. But then way out in the Bay of Bengal, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are something totally different. They're the peaks of a giant underwater mountain range that's volcanic. So one set of islands is built by life, the other by fire. Okay, for our last section, we're going to look at the lifelines that connect all these regions. We've touched on the islands, but now we're focusing on the subcontinent's circulatory system, its rivers. And as you're about to see, not all rivers are created equal. The big difference here is perennial versus non-perennial. So the huge rivers up north like the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, they're perennial. They get fed by melting snow from the Himalayas, so they have water in them all year round. But the rivers in the south on the plateau, they're non-perennial. They totally depend on rainwater from the monsoons, so they can get pretty low or even dry up completely when there's no rain. This map just shows that division so well. You can see those huge, powerful river systems starting way up in the Himalayas. And then you see the separate, rain-fed systems that crisscross the southern plateau. It's like two totally different plumbing systems for two different parts of the subcontinent. But at the end of the day, no matter where they come from, all of these rivers are absolutely essential. They're providing water for farming, they're used to make electricity, and for thousands of years, they were the highways for trade and culture, connecting all the different people of India. And that brings us to our final question, which takes us right back to where we started. Just take a second and imagine what it would be like if that great Himalayan wall just wasn't there. No barrier to stop the cold winds, no engine to drive the monsoon rains. The subcontinent as we know it, well, it just wouldn't exist. It's a pretty powerful reminder of just how much geography shapes everything.